Okay, so this week's lesson is based around length, and that's a measure of how long something is. And it's a handy one to start with this week because it really ties in with the decimals and fractions that we touched upon over the course of the last couple of weeks. So, over the course of the next few videos now, I'm going to get you measuring things, comparing your measurements, adding and subtracting your measurements, things like that. And but before we do that, let's just focus in on what length is all about, what type of units we use to measure length, and how we convert those units. So the system that we use is called the metric system, and it's all based around a meter, which I'll show you in a second. But before I touch the metric system, let's just talk about an old system we used to use here in this country. And some of it exists still today that we use it in different parts of our lives, and that's called the imperial system. That's where you use inches, feet, yards, and miles. So even if you get your standard ruler, you'll see it has measurements on both ends. We're always used to using these ones here with the small gaps. But on the other side, there's bigger gaps between the numbers, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and there's 12 of them on a standard ruler. They're called inches. So we have inches every day, and we still measure lots of things in inches. Like over here, my Hurley, that's measured in inches. Hurleys are always measured in inches. This one is 33.5 inches long. And then feet is the next thing, and you might know from going to Subway or something that there's 12 inches in a foot. So your standard ruler is 1 foot long. So if you want to know how long something is in feet, just keep getting your ruler and measuring along. Then you've got your yards. A yard is very close to a meter. There's 3 rulers in a yard, or 36 inches, okay? And then, of course, we've got miles. We're all used to talking about miles. You've got the Ballintown's 4-mile road race. We still measure things in miles per hour sometimes. But let's get to the metric system now, the one we use most often in nearly everything we do. Here I've measured out a meter. Look, it's you can get a gauge there for how long it is. It's just a bit bigger than my Hurley. Look, just a bit bigger than Una's pram as well. And a meter is what the metric system is all based around. So we'll start with the smallest unit of measurement up here, the millimeter, or mm, and that's 1,000 times smaller than a meter. Or another way you could say it is that there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter. And on your ruler, we'll go to the ones where there's the smaller gaps between the numbers. These tiny little notches here represent a millimeter. So that's 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters, okay? Then you've got your centimeters, or cm, and that's 100 times smaller than a meter, or there's 100 of them in a meter. And here's our centimeters. This is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter, 5 centimeter. And a bit later we'll be talking about the relationship between millimeters and centimeters. Very important. Then we've got our meter, which is obviously the same as a meter. A kilometer, km, is used to describe that, and that's 1,000 times greater than a meter. So we'll see that on our road signs. It might be 5 kilometers to this place, or you might be driving at 20 kilometers per hour. That means you drive 20 kilometers over the course of an hour. Okay? So what I want you to do there now is, in a sec, pause the video and just have a chat with whoever's there with you at home and see what do you think you'd measure in millimeters, what might you measure in centimeters, what might you measure in meters, and what might you measure in kilometers. So pause the video and have a chat just for 2 or 3 minutes about that. Okay, welcome back. Now we're moving on to the relationship between millimeters and centimeters. In another video, we'll be looking at the relationship between centimeters and meters, but now we're just going to focus on this one. So when you're dealing with millimeters and centimeters, just like decimals, you always think in tens, tenths, but one place of a decimal, because your tenths is always one place of a decimal. So let's come to our ruler now again. So we've got, here's our centimeters, look, and you can see there's 10 millimeters make up 1 centimeter, 10 of those notches in there. So it's fair to say that 10 millimeters are in 1 centimeter. So that means that 1 millimeter is the same as 1/10 of a centimeter, or in decimals 0.1 centimeter. See, it's always one place after a decimal point when you're dealing with millimeters and centimeters. Let's check if that's right in our ruler. Here's our 1 centimeter. And look, if we have 1 millimeter, that's one. I need 10 more. I need 10 of them to make 1 centimeter, so that's 1/10. Same here. 3 millimeters is the same as 3/10 of centimeters, or 0.3 centimeters. Very clearly here again. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 out of 10 millimeters. Okay. What if I had 1 centimeters and 2 millimeters? That's the same as 1 and 2/10 of a centimeter, or 1.2 centimeters. So here I go to my 1 centimeter, and look, 2 more notches. Yeah, that's 1 and 2/10, because remember a millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter. Or what if I had 37 millimeters? That's the same as 3 7/10 of a centimeter or 3.7. So let's go. Here's my 30 millimeters. If I count up in 10, 20, 30. So that's the same as 3 centimeters and 7 more millimeters. Yeah, 3 7/10 or 3.7. But what if I wanted to do it the other way? I think in tens then. If I'm given a centimeter and I want to change it back to millimeters, I think in tens. So if I said, if someone asked me, what's 1 3/10 of a centimeter or 1.3 centimeters in millimeters? Well, you can use your ruler to help. Okay. I'm going to go to, there's my 1 centimeter, 1 3/10. I go to 1, 2, 3. That's where it brings me up to right there. And I can count up the millimeters from here to here if I want. A simple shortcut to take is, if it's written in decimals, drop your decimal point and that'll tell you the amount of millimeters you have. So 1.3 centimeters is the same as 13 millimeters. Same here, 4.7 millimeters. If you want to change it to millimeters, drop your decimal point and you have 47 millimeters. Okay, and here we've got 0.3 centimeters. Well, that's the same as 3/10 of a centimeter. So I've got 3 out of 10 there. So it's the same as 3 millimeters. So your first task this week, before we get measuring anything, is to try and complete this worksheet. Okay, I've done, so question one is to change centimeters using decimals and fractions. Change to centimeters. You can use your ruler to help. So here I've got 4 millimeters. I know there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. 4 millimeters is less than a centimeter. I can see it here on my ruler. Yeah, 4 millimeters is less than 1 centimeter. So it's going to be 0 centimeters, 0.4 or 0.4 centimeters or 4/10 of a centimeter. Same here with 6 millimeters. That's less than a centimeter again. So you can work it out from there. On the other side here, you're changing your centimeters to millimeters. Again, you can use a ruler. What's 1.4 centimeters? I can find it here and count up how many millimeters to get up there. Or remember my shortcut, drop that decimal point. 1/10 of a centimeter. Well, I know if my rule is that 1/10 of a centimeter, there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So 1/10 of 10 millimeters is 1 millimeter. Here's a few trickier ones at the bottom. And just like in the decimals last week, if you want to change these to millimeters, you must first change these to tenths. Okay, so how am I going to change a half to a tenth? Make sure you multiply the bottom and the top by 5 to change this to a tenth. It's the same procedure for these ones here underneath it. So give them a go and good luck.